Hey, kiddos. Well, we're back. So today I'm going to be talking about the second half of chapter 4. And remember, we were talking about cell division and the life of a cell. And I just got through meeting with some of you, and you were looking at the stages of mitosis. Those of you that haven't had lab yet, next week, we'll be looking at the stages of mitosis. And you just learned about those in the last set of videos, right? So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to start out talking a little bit about Patricia. You remember Patricia, she had the problem with the skin cancers, right? The basal cell nevus syndrome or something to that effect. And it's a situation, it is a condition, a syndrome where she develops basal cell carcinomas on a regular basis, constantly having to have them cut off because that is the best treatment for that kind of cancer. And so one of the things I've alluded to, one of the things I alluded to last time was that we have cell cycle controls. So we had said the life of the cell consisted of that really long interphase, and then we had the stages of the nuclear division and cytokinesis. And we had said that this process of having cell divisions is controlled both within the cell and from the outside. So within the cell, we'll talk about how we have checkpoints. You can't leave the S phase of interphase. And what was the S phase? Oh yeah, it was the synthesis phase. That's where we're replicating all of that DNA. Well, you can't leave that phase until you've finished, right? And so we have controls that make sure you've done everything you need to do before you move to the next thing. And then we have external controls. I just noticed I've got a little boo-boo, right? I got a cut. And it's repairing. It's rapidly dividing, repairing itself. And why did it know to speed up the cell cycle? It's because of growth factors that are released that stimulate the stem cells in my skin to speed up cell division. So these are extrinsic controls on the cell division. So anyway, so we have these controls on cell division, and I've kind of gotten ahead of myself. I'm looking at my slides and I'm thinking, doggone it, you jumped ahead, Steve. You're supposed to be talking about treatments of cancers. So we'll come back to what I was just mentioning. But so we had said with the basal cell carcinoma, the best treatment is to cut it off, right? But everyone knows, unfortunately, everyone knows people who have had cancers, and there are other treatments, right? There's chemotherapies. Now, what would a chemotherapy do? So we had said certain kinds of cancers have to be treated with chemotherapies. And we had said in this life cycle of our cell, we had said G2, that's when we're getting ready for mitosis. And what has to happen in G2? You have to make more of those spindle fiber proteins. And we had said what do those spindle fibers do? They pull those chromosomes, the new copy of chromosomes, apart, right? Well, chemotherapy. Don't lose your train of thought again, Steve. So with chemotherapy, we have certain drugs that are going to block the action of the spindle fibers. Yeah, that's how they do it. Taxol. That's one of the drugs that came out a number of years ago. It was one of the first treatments for, I think, ovarian cancers or one of the female type cancers, and it was brilliant because it helped save lives because that's a very deadly cancer. Now, here's the problem though, is it doesn't just affect cancer cells. So there are side effects. That's one of the bad things about chemotherapies and radiation. That's another treatment, right? So what does radiation do? Well, it just completely annihilates the nuclei, and so it kills these cancer cells. But it's a high energy wave, and so you've got to aim it at the cancer, and guess what? You hit other cells too. And so you damage them too. So you have a lot of bad side effects from radiation too. It interferes with blood cell production, and one of the functions of many of the blood cells is immunity. So you have problems with susceptibility to infections. If you stop cell division, damaging cells, people lose their hair. That's also from the chemotherapy. And sort of in an ironic twist, what did we say? We had said skin cancers result from overexposure to radiation, ultraviolet radiation. Well, when you treat somebody with gamma or X-ray type radiation, it also increases your risk of cancer. But you can't worry about the future when you're trying to survive now. Okay, I've gone 7 minutes. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about the details of Patricia's problem.